I am a high-functioning depressed person. The biggest lesson that I want to tell you just right off the bat, I've learned that I have to work for my happiness. I can't just wake up in the morning and be good to go. I have to work. And honestly, I think that shift in mentality, expecting happiness to just come to me, and then realizing that no, I have to earn it, as depressing and weird as that might sound, has honestly been the biggest difference for me. What's up? It's your boy Bishoy. If you're new here, I make videos documenting my life from a little Egyptian immigrant boy who had severe social anxiety, depression, and was underachieving, to working to achieve my dreams and the lessons that I've learned along the way. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. If not, go do something else. I don't know what to tell you. With that said, let's get into it. Number one, honestly, drugs. I was prescribed something called Wellbutrin. At first, I didn't think would actually do anything, but really helped me get out of the slump. But it was not a magic pill. It was not a cure-all. If mentally I was in a pit on the ground, Wellbutrin helped me get up. It didn't help me climb out of the hole. It helped me get up and start that process. So what were the things that I did? Let's get into that. Number one, if you could get this down, honestly, you don't need the rest of the video. I had to learn how to separate how I feel from what I'm doing. Meaning, you're never gonna feel like it. Here's like an unpopular opinion. I feel like if you're depressed and you're online and you're in communities of other depressed people, I've felt that people started to use it as almost kind of like a crutch and as an excuse to not do anything. My chemicals are just imbalanced. I just don't have enough dopamine to go do something like a normal person would. All I could tell you is, for me, when I started to put myself in that mentality, things got worse. Regardless of how I felt, I knew that scientifically, if I work out, I'm going to increase endorphins, dopamine, which is going to make me even feel better. The problem is I just don't feel like working out. I can't get out of bed. I'm depressed. How do I solve this problem? Can I move my hand? Yes. Do I feel like moving my hand? No. Can I? Yes. Can I move my legs? Yes. Can I get up physically? Yes. Can I make my bed physically? Yes. You start to kind of feel like you're going through the motions. I can't sustain doing that during the whole day. But what I realized is you start to get momentum. And once you do this little thing, you're able to do just a little bit more. What I'm saying is, take the lowest common denominator of what you can do. Physical activity, because that's what's going to get you the ball rolling. The reason everyone talks about exercise is because that is the strongest thing outside of drugs that we have in our arsenal of combating depression. You're not going to be able to go from bed to running a mile. You're not going to be able to go from bed to even running. The way you find the lowest common denominator is it's going to be so ridiculous. You're like, I could just do that. There's no way I can't just do that. There's no excuse. For every person, that's going to be different. Go low to the point where it's ridiculous. Guys, I'm literally talking like 30-second walk. As soon as you hit the point where you're like, dude, that's dumb, that's where you start. That's your lowest common denominator. Because here's the trick. This was one of the biggest things I wish I had known earlier. It is not about intensity of the habit. It's about your identity. It's about forming the identity of becoming the type of person who walks every day, that never misses a workout. Notice, it doesn't matter how intense the workout is. The workout could be a 30-second walk. It could be one push-up. It could be something ridiculous, but it is a workout. Because once you develop the identity of, I am the type of person who works out, I am the type of person who does healthy habits, you're golden. You're going to start to compound whether or not you even like. You're going to convince yourself to do one push-up, or you're going to do a 30-second walk. In reality, you're probably not going to walk for 30 seconds. You're going to walk for at least like a minute. And since you already got the ball rolling, already fought through that inertia, it's easier to be like, okay, let me just walk for another 2 minutes. As a clinically depressed person, I thought that I had to force myself through the whole day. And sometimes it did feel like that. But more often than not, I realized I just had to force myself to do the beginning of every activity. Meaning, I had to force myself to do the beginning of starting to make my bed. I had to force myself to do the beginning of a workout. But once I got through that past initial inertia, it was like the hard part is like rolling the ball up the hill. But once you get to that top, going down, you start to get momentum. Basically, the takeaway is forcing yourself to do something, regardless of how you feel, doesn't mean to force yourself to do the whole thing. Sometimes it might, but more often than not, it really just means forcing yourself to do the beginning of that thing. All right, number 2, writing down my thoughts and challenging them. This is a common cognitive behavioral therapy technique. You basically challenge how illogical your thoughts are. There's like worksheets and stuff like that like you guys could look up. I'll include one in the description. I made it even more simple than that because I'm not one for the whole like labeling and doing all like the terms and everything like that. This is too much work. I look at it like this. Writing sharpens your thinking. You would be surprised how often when you try to write down your thoughts, you struggle to put words to how you're feeling. And the reason I found was because illogical emotions were controlling me. And when I wrote down the thinking, it's not like I immediately felt better. That's another thing, is setting realistic expectations. You're not gonna feel amazing off the bat. It's all about putting yourself in a feedback loop. You could either be in a negative feedback loop or a positive feedback loop. Getting to the positive feedback loop is difficult and it's painful, and getting to the negative one is easy because all you have to do is just let go. Here's another just pearl that I wish someone had told me earlier on. Being able to realize when you have an automatic thought and not giving it the power to control your emotion is so powerful. And the only way that I've discovered, at least, to help myself build that skill is writing down my thoughts and writing down my automatic thoughts. Real quick, if you don't know what an automatic thought is, so for instance, let's say you're scrolling on social media, you see someone looking really successful, you're like, my life sucks. That's an automatic thought, like the thought that just immediately pops up. Here's the crazy thing is, for me, they were so automatic, I didn't even realize that the thought had happened. The only thing I experienced was I saw like a picture of someone my age doing really cool things and I felt bad. It wasn't rocket science. I just had to take the time to actually be aware. Maybe they are more successful than me. And what does it have to do with me? I think I went into it expecting that this is gonna be like my superpower now. Once I train this, I'm gonna be like never feeling bad about anything. What I realized I'm actually teaching myself to do is ride my wave of emotions without being sucked underneath. Oh, I feel sad. I'm still gonna go work out because that's in my plan. Oh, I feel worthless, unsuccessful, whatever. I'm still gonna go do what I needed to do. It goes back to separating how I felt to what I needed to do. The third thing, realize these are all going to be tied together. The third thing was I needed to make a plan. Waking up in the day and just coasting was a recipe for disaster because immediately I would fall into the easiest thing, which is going on my phone, going on Netflix, going on whatever. You guys have heard all of this stuff before. The reason it's cliche, the reason it's overused is because the truth doesn't change. I think what's different about this video specifically is not necessarily the tips and tricks, because you've probably heard these before. It's more the realistic aspect of telling you to not expect 50% even. You're going to suck at the beginning. You're gonna suck. You're gonna make a plan and you're only gonna do like the first thing, and then you're gonna spend the rest of the day watching Netflix, and then you're gonna feel terrible about yourself. That's okay. You're making progress. Focus on the 1% improvement. Take a second to look at this graph. 1% improvement could literally mean the only thing you did differently today was you went for a 30-second walk. You did one push-up. You made your bed. You brushed your teeth. The bar can be set so ridiculously low because it is not about the quantitative thing that you did. It is about you're reshaping your identity. Once you reshape your identity, these things become easier for you. Kind of going off the identity thing is stay off the depressing Instagram and Reddit communities. Unpopular opinion, these people have let depression become their identity and let depression be the excuse of why they are not fighting to be better. True. Those communities do nothing but drag you down with them. Now, before you say, no, Bishoy, it's born with hormonal imbalances and yada, yada, yada. Maybe, but what are you going to do about it? Maybe you're someone who has to work for your happiness. And that's okay. My question to you would be, why are you so quick to defend that which is dragging you down? You're telling me that if you were to change your habits and start working out a little more, staying off depressing social media communities, doing just a little bit more of the work that you think you should be doing, you're not going to feel better? The hormonal imbalances are going to stay that way? I think it's more likely that you have bad habits. And maybe again, you do have hormonal imbalances, and maybe talking to a psychiatrist about getting medication is part of the right thing to you. I just told you at the beginning of the video, took Wellbutrin. There's nothing wrong with taking these medications to help you. It's all part of your arsenal. But the worst thing you could do for yourself is give yourself an out by saying that you were just born to be depressed. Like I said at the beginning of this video, guys, the biggest thing that improved my personal life is I stopped looking at happiness as this thing that I was entitled to and started looking at it as this thing that is a byproduct of my work and diligence. And once I shifted that mentality, everything changed for me. And the last thing I learned is don't judge myself. Some days I'm just not going to do anything, and that's okay. Most days, still hours will go by where I don't do anything. And then I beat myself up and I feel bad about it, but that's okay. You didn't do anything. That's okay. Don't do yourself the disservice of, in addition to not doing anything, making yourself feel bad about it. Why? For what? It's okay. You could just exist. It's not an excuse to not do anything, but it's part of your arsenal. Not judging yourself, you're able to keep yourself from going into that negative feedback loop. And your goal is to get into this positive feedback loop, because once you get in there, it starts compounding like that 1% and you start moving up. And then if you get into the negative feedback loop, you start kind of going down. And here's what sucks. I had to realize that I am fighting an uphill battle because you are literally going uphill. I'm in this negative feedback loop right now, and I have to fight against the current of that feedback loop. Oversleeping, overeating. The momentum is going down. And because of that, you have to fight the current to go up. Don't know what I'm doing with my hands here. I have this quote on my phone. Motivation is not the spark. Motivation is the fire that starts burning after you manually, painfully coax it into existence. It feeds on the satisfaction of seeing yourself make progress. Look, at the end of the day, you have the choice of letting this depression beat you down into the ground or slowly, painfully get up inch by inch. You're gonna fall again, but fail forward. Because even if you fall, you made progress because you developed character, you learned more about yourself, and you learned the wrong way to do it so you don't do it again. Here's the thing that some of these motivational happy-go-lucky people don't tell you is depression is always gonna be a part of your life. It can either be this giant monster or this tame, cute little dog that you know how to deal with. That's okay that it's there. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if it actually was in the comments. I really care about making stuff that actually provides legitimate value. If this video wasn't helpful and was just a bunch of cliche stuff that you've seen on Instagram, let me know so I don't do that in the future. This whole video was inspired by a subscriber who left a comment about motivation and depression and work and family and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to build a community here that we have actual conversations. I'm not trying to be one of those people who just makes videos and then ignores all the comments. Anyways, it's been real, y'all. Until next time, it's your boy Bishoy. Peace, love, and prosperity.